2012 was set to be a very exciting year in gaming for me. Halo 4 was coming out and there was no way that wasn't going to be perfect.
I thought you'd be taller.
Hey, that really sucked!
And Assassin's Creed was setting its next mainline game in the wild frontiers of the New World during the American Revolution in Assassin's Creed 3. And as a kid who grew up watching Liberty's Kids during the day at school and then went home to watch Mel Gibson kick ass in The Patriot, I was pretty excited for the game. And I wanted to make an Assassin's Creed video, and I decided to go with Assassin's Creed 3, one of, if not the most divisive Assassin's Creed games ever made, and kind of give you guys a retrospective as to why it got the hate that it got, but also why I kind of love it. So that's the video, guys, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to Live from My Basement, where I make new videos every single week. So if you find yourself liking this video, be sure to ring the bell and subscribe so you get notified for future videos. But guys, let's dive in. The hype for Assassin's Creed 3 was unreal. Besides being set during the American Revolution, which already was a huge draw, it was the mystery of how it was going to be pulled off due to many of its main features delving deep into uncharted territory for the franchise. Enemy troops now carry muskets instead of swords and spears. How would this affect the mostly melee-based combat? And the parkour not taking place on the rooftops of stone cities, but from the twisted branches and treetops of the American frontier. But how would all of this work? Was it even possible? Regardless, it built up my hype for Assassin's Creed 3, and I began to come up with a kind of wish list of everything that I personally would like to see in an American Revolution action game. And in a way, Assassin's Creed 3 is just that. The firearms, for example, should take a long time to reload, and they did, which added interesting gameplay opportunities as reloading redcoats offer a window of opportunity that the player could then exploit to close the gap and enter the game's brutal melee combat, which in turn balances out the worrisome idea of all of your enemies being armed with firearms, as they only get one shot before having to enter this long reload cycle or enter the fray in bayonet combat. A solution that feels genuine to the setting of Assassin's Creed 3, but more importantly, it's fun to engage with. Also, the melee combat should be more brutal, and the fact that the game is set during an actual war and the soldiers you're facing are armed with rifles, the melee combat shouldn't be as defensive focused as previous Assassin's Creed titles. Connor himself needed to be aggressive, brutal, and relentlessly able to push the attack as never seen before in previous Assassin's Creed games, and that's exactly what we saw in Assassin's Creed 3. One of the biggest changes of Assassin's Creed 3 was the change from the bustling streets and rooftops of European cities to the star location of Assassin's Creed 3, the wilderness of the American frontier. A huge dense forest location where you can not only stalk your enemies from the treetops, but for the first time in the franchise, hunt wild game and sell their hides to in-game merchants. A concept that saw much success with Rockstar's recently released Red Dead Redemption. The Frontier offered players a dense, rich, and detailed environment to explore, from its forests and cliffs to various settlements scattered throughout, one of which the player calls home and is full of optional side quests that can turn your homestead into a bustling community. The Frontier also serves as the connecting tissue between Assassin's Creed 3's main cities, New York and Boston. But one of the most notable changes seen in the Frontier of Assassin's Creed 3 is the addition of seasons, which change more than just the scenery, as winter snow slows character movement and encourages players to engage with its new forest parkour. But it was the American Revolution setting, combined with the new brutal combat system set in a beautiful wilderness sandbox, that was the hook that so many players, including myself, were dying to see realized in Assassin's Creed 3. And in those specific ways, the game soared and was everything we wanted from that premise. The only problem was, though all these new exciting gameplay features would make for an amazing action sandbox game, Assassin's Creed 3 was first and foremost a narrative-driven experience, where players would have to engage with over 6 hours of story and cutscenes before they can engage with the parts of the game that are truly great. The game itself gatekeeps players from having the fun that the game eventually provides after it's done standing in its own way. For example, whenever I go to replay Assassin's Creed 3, though the story isn't bad, by the time I finally gain control of Connor and the game is making me play hide and seek with the other children, I often don't feel the drive to continue playing because the game has burnt me out with the experience it's forcing me to do instead of the experience that made me want to pick up the controller in the first place. But eventually I'll get there. I'll make it to the point where the game's reins are finally lifted and the greatness of the game's gameplay can fully shine, showing that a great American Revolution action game is here. It's just very well hidden. The most fun that I have with Assassin's Creed 3 is whenever I load into one of my saves that are deep into the best parts of the game, that allow its new gameplay systems to truly shine, which goes to show that the game does have pacing issues that go on to be fixed in future Assassin's Creed games. For example, the very next game, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, gives players control of its protagonist immediately, and fleshes out the bare-bones naval combat of Assassin's Creed 3 into an entire game. Not to mention certain features like canoeing and donating provisions to settlements were completely cut from the game.
Here's the meat you requested.
Thank you.
But Assassin's Creed 3 is a very ambitious game. A game so jam-packed with story and new gameplay features that it seems everything that the devs had written on their idea boards got crunched into the game for better or worse, which led to a divisive game that some fans loved while others thought was too bloated. Either way, Assassin's Creed 3 paved the road for future Assassin's Creed games that may not have been as loved had it not been for the growing pains of Assassin's Creed 3. But in my opinion, Assassin's Creed 3's action gameplay eventually lives up to my personal hype for a great American Revolution action game, and its frontier setting is a blast to explore. It's just a shame that you have to be closer to the credits before the game lets you have the fun that you've been wanting to have ever since you picked up the controller. But at the end of the day, Assassin's Creed 3 it's a special game to me. I remember being so unbelievably hyped for this game. Just an Assassin's Creed game set during the American Revolution just sounded incredible, and I had so much fun. I remember, even though like the story kind of it starts really slow and eventually the game gets better and better, and then once you actually enter the game's end game, you're having the most fun that you can have with its open world systems, the hunting, the exploring. It's great. It's weird to say that I really enjoy this game, but in order to fully enjoy it, you kind of have to beat it first, which is, it's a weird problem to have. I kind of relate it to games like Middle-earth Shadow of War, to where it's like, I love engaging with that game's Nemesis system and its open world systems, but the most fun you have with the game is when you're making your own fun after the credits roll, and that's very similar to my experience with Assassin's Creed 3, where I wanted this epic American Revolution Assassin's Creed action game, and it's there. You just have to beat the entire game first, and there's a lot to beat because this game is absolutely huge. The game is so ambitious. It was a huge project, and I mean, you can just tell that they threw everything into this game, and they are trying to make a masterpiece, but they really just made a really bloated game that has really great parts, and those parts are the reasons why I enjoy Assassin's Creed 3 so much. But guys, that is all I have for this video. If you found yourself liking the video, be sure to drop a like on it. I make new videos every single week, so if you found yourself liking this video, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified for future videos. And as I said, that's all I have for this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.